the mark of destiny. Before you were ever born, before your feet touched the dust of this world, something had already been written. Long before your first cry, before your eyes opened to light, your life was marked by a design greater than chance. This is not a poetic idea or an abstract metaphor. It is a truth older than time itself. There was once a man, known across generations for his closeness with the divine. His name was Enoch. He did not live as others lived, nor did he end as others end. He walked with the eternal so closely that the veil of death could not hold him. He was lifted beyond, carried into realms unseen. And before his departure, he left words that shine like fire sealed in stone, words that are not vague riddles, but clear revelations that point to you, to now, to this very moment. Yes, you, the restless heart, the searching soul, the one who has always felt there's more beneath the surface of life. Perhaps you have walked through crowded streets and felt like a stranger among your own people. Perhaps you have wept without knowing why. Perhaps you have carried an ache that no doctor could diagnose and no friend could soothe. You have carried mysteries within you because you were never ordinary. This message is not entertainment. It is a call. It is a mirror showing you what has always been written in your spirit. It is confirmation that the silent weight you carry, the unexplainable hunger in your soul, is not madness. It is destiny. It was seen, it was recorded, it was written long before you drew breath. Enoch's vision was not confined to his own time. His eyes were open to generations unborn, to souls like yours, walking this earth centuries later. He saw people carrying a fire that no storm could extinguish, a light that no darkness could drown. He trembled at what he saw, because the battles of these people would be fierce, their tears many, their path heavy with burdens unseen by others. Yet within them would live a flame that would not die. The hidden ones. He wrote of men and women who would wander with silent wounds, carrying sorrows that seem invisible to everyone else. He saw them mocked for their sensitivity, ridiculed for their depth, called strange by a world that could not understand them. And yet, he also saw their endurance. These chosen ones, he said, would stand even when their bones ached with weariness. They would keep walking even when storms battered their spirit. They would hunger for meaning in a world addicted to distractions. They would thirst for purity in an age drowning in corruption. Have you ever felt this? The emptiness that lingers even when everything looks fine on the outside? The longing for something higher, something eternal, when others are content with shallow pleasures. That ache inside you is not insanity. It is prophecy being fulfilled in your own body. The silent seal. Enoch described a mark, a seal invisible to the natural eye but unmistakable in the spirit. A brand not of shame, but of destiny. He called a fire that burns in silence. This seal is why you have never truly felt at home here. It is why distractions, pleasures, or even achievements never satisfy you for long. The mark whispers to you even when you wish it would be silent. It reminds you that you belong to something greater. Think of those nights when your body is exhausted but your mind refuses to rest. You toss and turn, waiting for a voice to break the silence. That is not madness. It is a silent flame inside you, pulsing, reminding you of who you are. Think of those days when laughter around you sounds empty, when conversations feel shallow, when you feel like a foreigner even among friends. That is a seal, pressing against the surface of your life, refusing to let you dissolve into the ordinary. The warrior vision. Enoch also saw a figure, a solitary warrior walking through a valley of shadows. His clothes were torn, his body scarred, yet his steps were steady. He carried no sword, no shield, no army. And yet the darkness around him trembled, because his weapon was not steel. It was a fire burning in his eyes. This warrior was not famous, not celebrated by men, not followed by crowds. He walked alone. His silence was heavier than armies, his endurance brighter than torches. Every scar he carried was a testimony that pain had tried and failed to destroy him. And here's the truth. That warrior is you. The resilience you cannot explain, the scars you hide, the light that flickers in your eyes when everything around you collapses. These are not random. They are evidence of the vision that was written about you. You were forged in rejection. You were shaped through storms. You have endured betrayals that cut deeper than knives. You have walked through nights of loneliness that felt like exile, yet you are still standing. And that endurance is your crown, though unseen. The intercession of ages. Enoch did not only see visions, he prayed. He fell on his face before the eternal and interceded for generations yet unborn. His tears were not for himself, nor even for his own time. They were for you. He begged that those who would carry this unbearable mark would never be abandoned. He cried out that when the shadows rose against them, heaven would remember them. He wept that they would never forget who they truly are. And those prayers did not die. Prayers born in eternity do not fade away. They hover, they echo, they wait for the appointed moment. Every time you survived what should have destroyed you, it was not your strength alone. It was a ripple of those ancient tears, covering you like an unseen shield. The awakening. But Enoch saw further still. He foresaw the moment when the marked ones would awaken, when their silent flame would flare into a fire that could not be hidden, when their endurance would turn into influence, their scars into strength, their tears into rivers that awaken others. This awakening would not go unnoticed. Shadows would rush to resist. Distractions would multiply. Whispers of doubt would strike the mind like arrows. The chosen would be tempted, tested, pressed beyond reason. But the fire within them would only grow stronger, because darkness cannot extinguish what heaven has sealed. You are living in that moment now. That is why you felt restless. That is why your battles have intensified. That is why doubts have risen at your doorstep. Because the prophecy is no longer waiting. It is unfolding through you. The call. And so, here you stand. Not by accident. Not by coincidence. You are the answer to a cry spoken thousands of years ago. You are the living proof that prophecy breathes. The flame has found its vessel. This is why your life has been marked by storms. This is why you could not blend in, why you could not settle for ordinary, because you were never meant to. The time for hesitation has ended. The fire is awake. The mark is alive. You are chosen. You are marked. And your awakening has begun. The war of shadows. Enoch's visions did not end with fire and endurance. He also saw the opposition. For every flame that heaven ignited, the shadows planned their resistance. The chosen would not be attacked because they were weak, but because they were dangerous. In the unseen realm, their light was recognized long before they recognized it themselves. Even when they tried to hide, the mark was visible to eyes that watched from the darkness. That is why you have faced storms that others cannot explain. That is why you have been misunderstood again and again. The battle has never been about your mistakes or your past. It has always been about your potential. The shadows do not waste their strength on what they do not fear. The intensity of your trials is proof of your significance. Every arrow, every distraction, every whisper of doubt is confirmation that prophecy is alive in you. The strategy of darkness. Enoch wrote that the shadows would not always come as open enemies. They would not always attack with force. Sometimes, they would disguise themselves as comfort, as opportunity, even as friendship. Their plan would not always be destruction, but corrosion. Slowly, invisibly, they would try to wear down the fire, to dull the brilliance of the chosen, to smother their hunger with distractions. Have you noticed this? The sudden opportunities that look appealing but drain your soul? The relationships that feel convenient but suffocate your spirit? The thoughts that slip into your mind, whispering that you are unworthy, broken, or too late. These are not coincidences. They are the tactics of the shadows, designed to delay and weaken you. But here lies the paradox. Every time the shadows press harder, the flame inside grows brighter. Every attempt to silence you only stirs your spirit more deeply, because the mark was not given to be extinguished. It was given to ignite, the flame that spreads. Enoch saw that when the chosen awaken, their fire does not remain isolated. One flame becomes two become 10 become a generation. This is the mystery. The chosen were never meant to walk alone. Though their path often feels lonely, their fire was designed to awaken others. The very endurance that carried you through storms becomes a spark that lights another soul. Think about it. How many times has someone drawn strength from your survival? How many times has your story, your resilience, Your scars inspired another to keep going. You may not have realized it, but your endurance has been preaching louder than words ever could. This is the power of the flame. It spreads, and once it spreads, no shadow can gather enough darkness to smother it. The restlessness you carry, you have felt it, haven't you? That restlessness that refuses to let you settle into an ordinary life. The dissatisfaction that lingers no matter how much you achieve, no matter how much you possess. The world calls it discontent, but Enoch called it prophecy. It is the whisper of your true home, the echo of eternity vibrating in your bones. It is why no temporary pleasure has ever truly satisfied you. It is why every attempt to bury yourself in distractions leaves you emptier than before. This restlessness is not a curse. It is a compass. It points you to the depths that most people fear to enter. It points you toward your true name, written before time began, the fire within the bones. Enoch wrote of chosen ones whose very bones would glow with hidden light, a fire pressed so deeply within that even when they tried to forget, it would flare again. This explains the sudden moments when your heart ignites without reason, the tears that fall when sacred words cross your path, the ache in your spirit when injustice surrounds you. These are not random emotions. They're the coal in your marrow, the silent fire that refuses to die. This is why you survive what breaks others. This is why you rise when logic says you should fall. Because the fire within you is not human. It is eternal. The silent crown. The world may not celebrate you. Crowds may not applaud you. Your name may never shine in lights. But heaven calls you chosen. And heaven crowns you with endurance. The scars you carry are not shame. They are proof. Every wound you endure without breaking, every storm you survive without surrendering, is an invisible crown pressed upon your spirit. Enoch saw this crown. He trembled at its weight. He knew it would not be made of gold or jewels, but of endurance and resilience. And he saw that the heavens leaned to watch every step of the ones who bore it. The cry that crossed time. But perhaps the most haunting vision was not what Enoch saw, but what he prayed. When he stood before the throne of the Eternal, he did not ask for wealth or safety. He did not plead for his own glory. He cried for you. He carried a burden so heavy that it shook the atmosphere of heaven. He begged that those who would one day carry the mark would not be forgotten. He asked that in their darkest nights, when they felt crushed beneath invisible weight, heaven would remember them. And that cry has never ceased. It echoes still, covering you like a shield. Every time you escaped what should have destroyed you, every time you rose when despair tried to bury you, it was because his prayer still reverberates across the ages. You are not standing here by chance. You are standing because someone who never tasted death carried your name into eternity, the awakening flame. And now, that flame is stirring within you. You feel it in restless nights. You sense it in silent tears. You recognize it in the way ordinary life feels too small for you. The awakening has begun. The shadows are pressing harder because your fire has been recognized. But the pressure is not your end. It is your ignition. Enoch's vision is unfolding in you now. You are the embodiment of a prayer that still burns eternity. You are a fulfillment of a prophecy that terrifies darkness. The time of hesitation is over. The mark is alive. The fire is awake. And heaven still speaks your name. The moment of realization. There comes a moment in every chosen life when the whisper of destiny becomes too loud to ignore. It may come in the silence of the night, in a dream, in an unexpected encounter, or in the middle of your pain. At first, it feels unsettling, like a voice breaking into your ordinary thoughts. But it is not madness. It is not imagination. It is recognition. It is the prophecy inside you awakening. Enoch foresaw this moment. He wrote of people who would suddenly see themselves in a mirror not made of glass, but of eternity. They would realize that the restlessness, the ache, the unexplainable hunger were not weaknesses. They were signs. Perhaps you have felt this. Moments when the words you hear pierce deeper than ordinary speech. Moments when your spirit trembles with recognition. This is the unveiling, the flame responding to its name. The seal in the soul. Enoch called a seal pressed into the soul. Not a scar, not a wound, but a brand of destiny. It cannot be erased, it cannot be removed, and it cannot be silenced. This seal explains why you have always felt different, why you never truly fit into the noise of the crowd, why distractions never fully numb you, why achievements never satisfy the ache. The seal whispers, even when you want silence. It pulls you higher, even when you want to stay low. It calls you deeper, even when you fear the depths. This is why you cannot go back to who you were before. Once the seal awakens, you are forever marked. The roar of the flame. Enoch trembled as he described the next stage. The seal would not always whisper. There would come a time when the flame would roar. What begins as a quiet ache becomes a fire that cannot be hidden. What once felt like confusion becomes clarity. What once was endured in silence becomes a voice that shakes the unseen. The chosen, he wrote, would rise not with crowns or armies, but with unshakable presence. Their scars would not silence them, but empower them. Their endurance would not just carry them, but inspire generations. This roar is not about volume. It is about authority. When the flame speaks, shadows tremble. The solitary warrior. Enoch described a figure who embodied this roar. A warrior scarred but unbroken. His silence carried more weight than thunder. His endurance carved pathways through the darkness. He was not celebrated by men, yet heaven leaned to watch him walk. He carried no banner, yet every step etched eternity into the ground. His crown was invisible, yet undeniable. This vision was not just about one man. It was about every chosen one who would rise from the ashes of rejection and stand as proof that storms cannot destroy what heaven has sealed. Look closely at yourself. The stubborn resilience that refuses to die. The scars that testify to battles you survived. The light in your eyes that flickers even in your lowest moments. You are that warrior. Strength from scars. The world sees scars as weakness. Heaven sees them as weapons. A heart that has bled cannot be deceived easily. A soul that has endured storms cannot be shaken by whispers. That is why you survive what breaks others. That is why you rise when logic says you should collapse. Every scar on your life is an inscription of survival. Every tear that fell unseen is a seed planted in eternity. Nothing was wasted. Every betrayal, every rejection, every lonely night, they have been shaping you into a vessel of fire. This is why your silence unsettles the enemy. Because your silence is not emptiness. It is strength forged in the shadows. The heavens respond. Enoch saw something breathtaking. When the warrior lifted his eyes to the heavens, scarred and weary, the skies responded. It was as if eternity itself recognized its reflection on earth. This is the truth of your life. You may walk unnoticed by people, but heaven knows your name. When you endure, when you rise, when you refuse to surrender, all of creation leans closer. Your endurance is not wasted. It echoes in eternity. This is why your spirit stirs when you hear these words. Because you are not hearing information. You are hearing recognition. Heaven is answering your flame. The continuation of the cry. Remember Enoch's prayer. The cry that crossed dimensions? That cry did not die in the air of ancient days. It still hovers, still flows, still covers. And now it merges with your own cry. Your groans, your tears, your silent prayers, they are not separate. They are the continuation of the same intercession that began thousands of years ago. You are not only the answer, you are now the vessel that carries the cry forward. Your voice joins a river of prayer that stretches from the dawn of creation to this very moment. Do you realize what this means? You are not abandoned. You are part of something unbroken, something eternal, something unstoppable. The tremor of awakening. But the vision does not stop here. Enoch saw the tremor, the first rumble of the awakening. It would begin subtly, almost unnoticed, a stirring in the hearts of the chosen, a heaviness in their silence, a restlessness that would not let them settle. And then it would spread, unstoppable. The foundations of darkness would begin to shake, not because of armies, but because of awakened flames. The chosen, once isolated, once misunderstood, would recognize each other. Sparks would find sparks. Flames would join flames. And a generation would rise. This is why you have felt the intensity lately. The restlessness, the doubts, the sudden battles. They are signs. They are evidence that the awakening has begun. The choice. And here's the turning point. There is no neutrality in this moment. Either you bury the flame under distraction, or you embrace the fire written in your bones. Either you silence the calling, or you step into destiny. The time of hesitation is gone. The mark is alive. The fire is awake. You are chosen. You are marked. And the heavens are waiting for your answer. The invisible battlefield. Enoch foresaw that the greatest war the chosen ones would face would not always be fought in the open. It would be a battle of thought, of spirit, of silence. This battlefield is hidden. You cannot point to it with your hand, yet you feel its weight every day. It is in the restless nights, the racing thoughts, the sudden waves of doubt that strike without warning. It is in the moments when your heart aches and you cannot explain why. The world calls it stress. The shadows call it strategy. But heaven calls it proof. Proof that the seal is alive in you. Proof that the fire within you is dangerous enough to be attacked. The whispers of doubt. Enoch described the whispers of the shadows. They would come not as thunder, but as smoke, soft, almost invisible, wrapping around the mind. Who are you to believe you are chosen? You are too broken. You are too late. You have failed too many times. These whispers are not random thoughts. They are weapons. They are designed to suffocate the flame before it grows. And yet, the very presence of these whispers is confirmation. Darkness does not waste its breath on what it does not fear. The corrosion of distraction. Sometimes the shadows would not come as enemies, but as comfort, not as threats, but as invitations. A distraction here, a compromise there, an opportunity that looks harmless but drains your soul, a relationship that feels convenient but suffocates your spirit. This is the corrosion of distraction. It is slow. It is invisible. It does not destroy you in one moment. It dulls you over time. But Enoch saw that even in the midst of this corrosion, the mark would ignite again. At the moment when the chosen felt most smothered, the fire would flare, unquenchable. The fire that refuses to die. You have felt this, haven't you? Moments when you tried to bury the flame, yet it rose again. Times when you wanted to forget, but the fire refused to let you go. This is the mystery. The flame is not yours to extinguish. It was planted by heaven. It does not fade because it is eternal. Think of those sudden moments when your spirit awakens for no reason. A word pierces your heart. A song stirs your soul. A silence feels heavy with presence. That is a fire reminding you who you are. The paradox of pain. Enoch saw another paradox. The chosen would suffer more deeply than most, yet their pain would forge their strength. Every betrayal would carve endurance. Every rejection would shape resilience. Every unanswered question would sharpen faith. The shadows would laugh, thinking they had broken the chosen. But heaven would smile, knowing that the very wounds meant to destroy them had become their weapons. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are proof of battle survived. Proof that storms cannot erase what has been sealed in eternity. The target of light. Do you wonder why your battles feel relentless? Why you face storms others do not understand? It is because a mark paints a target on your back in the unseen realm. The shadows see what you carry. They know your light threatens their darkness. They know your fire can awaken others. That is why the war against you has been unceasing. But here is the unshakable truth. Every attack is also proof of your calling. If you were insignificant, you would be ignored. The war against you is confirmation that you are dangerous to the shadows. The tremor of resistance. Enoch described the awakening as a tremor in the spirit realm. Subtle at first, then unstoppable. The instant light begins to rise, shadows rush to resist. That is why your nights have been restless. That is why your doubts have intensified. That is why battles you thought were finished have returned. It is not because you are failing. It is because you are awakening. And the awakening terrifies the shadows. The endurance that inspires. The chosen ones were never meant to inspire through perfection. They were meant to inspire through endurance. The world may look at you and see scars, but heaven sees a story. Your survival, your resilience, your refusal to quit. It speaks louder than victories ever could. Others will find strength not in your flawless success, but in your honest endurance. When they see you rise again and again, they will realize they, too, can rise. The irresistible fire. Here lies the ultimate mystery. Once a fire awakens fully, It cannot be stopped. No whisper can silence it. No distraction can bury it. No shadow can erase it. Enoch trembled as he wrote this truth. Light, once revealed, cannot return to darkness. This is why your spirit feels unsettled, why silence feels heavy, why ordinary life feels unbearable. You cannot return to who you were. The fire has been recognized. The awakening has begun. The call to stand. And so, the question remains, what happens when you stop running? What happens when you stop doubting? What happens when you step fully into the fire you carry? This is the moment heaven waits for. The moment when hesitation ends. The moment when the chosen rise, scars and all, and declare, I am marked. I am chosen. I am awake. The shadows may resist. The battles may rage. But the mark cannot be erased. The fire cannot be silenced. You are the fulfillment of prophecy. You are the living proof that eternity breathes within flesh. The rumbling of a generation. Enoch's vision stretched far beyond his own life. He saw a generation unlike any other. People marked not by outward signs, but by fire burning within. At first, they would seem scattered, alone, isolated in their struggles. Each one believing they were walking through storms no one else could understand. But then a shift would come, a tremor in the spirit realm. One by one, the chosen would begin to recognize themselves. They would feel the same fire reflected in others. They would realize they were never truly alone. And the rumble of awakening would swell into a roar, the chain reaction of light. Enoch described this awakening like sparks catching across dry grass. One flame awakens another. One testimony unlocks another heart. One survivor's endurance becomes another warrior's strength. You may think your story is small, but every scar you carry, every storm you endured, becomes fuel for someone else's fire. The enemy trembles at this truth. Because once the fire spreads, it cannot be contained. 10 become 100, 100 become thousands. And soon the night cannot withstand the light. This is why your flame matters. It is not just for you. It is for every life your endurance will ignite. The resistance of shadows. But as the flames rise, so too will the resistance. Enoch warned that the awakening would never be quiet. The moment light begins to rise, shadows rush to suppress it. Distractions will multiply. Voices will rise, urging compromise. Opportunities will appear that look harmless but carry poison. Even loved ones may misunderstand, urging you to abandon what burns in your soul. But the chosen will endure. Their fire cannot be negotiated away. Their destiny cannot be silenced by the opinions of men. You have felt this, haven't you? The sudden intensification of battles. The doubt striking harder. The weight pressing heavier. This is not failure. It is proof that your light has been recognized. The irreversible awakening. Here lies the terrifying beauty of destiny. Once awakened, it cannot return to sleep. The chosen may stumble. They may doubt. They may even try to walk away. But the fire inside them will not allow them to dissolve into the ordinary. Enoch saw this clearly. He trembled as he wrote that once the seal flares, it cannot be extinguished. No storm, no shadow, no whisper can undo what heaven has ignited. This is why you cannot go back. Why ordinary pleasures feel empty. Why your spirit longs for something deeper. Because the awakening has already begun in you. The victory written in advance. Enoch did not leave the vision in despair. He saw the storms, yes. He saw the shadows pressing hard. But he also saw victory carved into design. Light, once revealed, cannot return to darkness. Truth, once awakened, cannot be buried. Fire, once ignited, cannot be erased. This means your destiny is not uncertain. It is not a gamble. It has already been written. The outcome is already carved in eternity. Victory is woven into your design. Every battle you face is not the end. It is a step toward the fulfillment of what has already been decreed. The echo of eternity. Do you feel it now? The way these words stir something deeper than thought. This is not simply speech. It is recognition. Your spirit is responding to the echo of eternity. That ache you feel is not emptiness. It is alignment. That restlessness is not madness. It is calling. That burn in your chest is not anxiety. It is fire. You are not here by accident. You are here because you are part of the generation Enoch saw. You are the living fulfillment of a vision carried across millennia, the gathering of flames. The chosen are never meant to remain hidden forever. Isolation was only the beginning. The loneliness, the silence, the wilderness. It was preparation. Now comes a gathering. Sparks finding sparks. Flames recognizing flames. Souls marked by eternity drawing near to one another, not by human design, but by spiritual alignment. This is happening even now. All across the world, chosen ones are awakening, rising, recognizing the fire within each other. And together, their light will be unstoppable. The responsibility of the mark. But with awakening comes responsibility. The fire is not given for comfort. It is given for a purpose. Enoch saw that the chosen would carry burdens others could not bear. They would be called to stand when others fall, to endure when others quit, to speak truth when silence would be easier. This is why your battles have been heavier. This is why your scars run deeper. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. The mark is not a weight meant to crush you. It is a crown meant to shape you. The final call of part 5. So hear this clearly. You are not small. You are not forgotten. You are not random. You are the continuation of an ancient vision. You are the answer to a cry that crossed dimensions. You are the living proof that prophecy breathes. The awakening is no longer in the distance. It is here. It is in you. And heaven is waiting for your response. Will you silence the flame, or will you embrace the fire written in your bones? The shadows tremble at your answer. The heavens lean close to listen. And your spirit already knows the time is now. As we come to the close of this incredible journey, let us take a moment to reflect on everything we have explored together. Today, we didn't just watch a video. We embarked on a path of understanding, growth, and inspiration. Every story, every lesson, and every insight shared was a reminder that life is not just about the moments that happen to us, but how we respond to them. Each of us holds the power to transform our challenges into opportunities, our doubts into courage, and our fears into stepping stones toward greatness. Remember, the path to wisdom is continuous. The truths we have uncovered today are not meant to be forgotten once the video ends. They are seeds planted in your mind and heart, waiting for you to nurture them through daily reflection and action. Whether it was the strength of character, the importance of resilience, or the subtle ways in which the universe guides us, each message carries a lesson that can shape the way we live. Take these lessons, apply them to your life, and see how your perspective begins to shift. Life often tests us in ways we do not expect. There will be moments of doubt, moments when giving up feels easier than pushing forward. But it is precisely in these moments that our true potential is revealed. By remembering the principles we discuss today, by embracing patience, courage, and clarity, you equip yourself to handle every situation with grace. Every small decision, every conscious choice adds up to a life filled with purpose and fulfillment. As we wrap up, it's important to acknowledge that growth is not linear. There will be days when the lessons seem distant or the progress invisible. Do not be discouraged. Transformation takes time, and consistency is the key. Keep revisiting these stories and reflections. Let them guide you, inspire you, and remind you that even in the darkest times, light exists waiting to be recognized. Now, think about the changes you want to see in your life. What habits, thoughts, or actions can you start today that will bring you closer to your goals? Perhaps it's developing patience, fostering gratitude, or simply taking a moment each day to reflect on your journey. Whatever it is, start small. Start with one positive step. Because, as we have seen in today's journey, even the smallest step taken with intention can lead to extraordinary outcomes. I encourage you to not just watch this video passively, but to carry its essence forward. Share these lessons with your loved ones, discuss them with friends, or even write down your reflections. By doing so, you create a ripple effect of positivity and wisdom that extends far beyond this screen. Every effort you make to internalize these lessons contributes to your personal evolution and impacts the world around you. Finally, I want to remind you that your journey is unique. Comparison has no place here. What matters is your growth, your learning, and your commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. Celebrate your victories, no matter how small, and treat setbacks as opportunities to learn. The road ahead may be challenging, but it is also filled with infinite possibilities. With awareness, courage, and determination, there is nothing you cannot achieve. So, as we end this session, take a deep breath and embrace the wisdom you have gained today. Let it inspire you to take deliberate actions, make conscious choices, and approach life with renewed energy and purpose. Remember, the power to shape your destiny lies within you. Carry this light forward and let it guide every step of your journey. Thank you for spending this time with me. Your presence, attention, and willingness to grow make this journey meaningful. Keep learning, keep evolving, and always remember that every day is a new opportunity to become the person you aspire to be. Until we meet again in the next video, stay inspired, stay motivated, and continue your journey toward a life of purpose, clarity, and fulfillment.